Hello everyone, welcome. Hi Bano, how are you? Welcome. Hello Hassan bhai, how are you? I am good, how about you dear? Hola. Hello Bano. Hi Silvaji, welcome salam. Hello. How are you doing? Hassan bhai, welcome. Kimberly, hi Kimberly, how are you? It is your beautiful name. Welcome. Rain, hi dear Rain. Welcome everyone. How's your day going? Here is a good name. Welcome. Let's write Sipaji. Here is yours. Hassan bhai. ¿Cómo estás? The name is done now. Welcome everyone. How are you? Good evening. Hi dear Remas. Welcome. Hi Ali. How are you? Here is a good name. Huda. Hi dear Huda. Here is yours. Hello dear Fajr. Here is your beautiful name. Hi Maz. How are you? Welcome. Here is yours. Hi Bhumi. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Let me write again, dear Bhumi. Double O. Hi, here is yours. Hi dear girl. Here is your good name. Welcome. Hi dear Hagen. Here is yours. Welcome. How are you? Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Rain. Here is yours. Hello, Komal. Here is your good name, Hana Sadagi. Hi, dear Christian. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Welcome. Easter. Hi, dear Easter. Here is your good name. Welcome. Hello, dear Maxon. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Komal. It is a good name. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Here is yours. Easter from Brazil. How are you doing? Welcome. You're most welcome, dear. Thank you so much. Hi, dear Arshan. Here is yours. Welcome. Hello, dear Wave. It is a good name. Welcome. Hi, dear Oren. Here is yours. What a unique name you have. Hi, dear Risma. Here is your beautiful name. Welcome. Hi, dear Jennifer. Jennifer. Here is yours. Walaikum salam. Hi, dear Owen. Here is yours. Hi, dear Beckham. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Welcome. Hanjala. Hi, Hanjala. Here is yours. Welcome. Rifna. Rinfa. No, Rifna. Here is yours. Hi, dear Eldrick. Here is your good name. Welcome. How are you? Hi, dear Yuna. Here is yours. Welcome, dear. Hi, dear Ayan. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Megan. Here is yours. Don't forget to double tap on your screens, guys. What's your name, dear? Hi, dear Ahmad. Here is yours. Welcome. Hi, dear Khizer. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Lara. Here is your beautiful name. Hey, dear Ace. Here is yours. Hello, dear Haram. Here is your beautiful name. Welcome. How are you? Hello, dear Ellie. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Sophia. Here is yours. Hi, dear Noora. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Lisa. Here is yours. I am fine. Good to hear, dear. Hi, dear Bean. Let's see who is next. Hello, dear Ahil. Here is your beautiful name. Double tap on your screen. What is your good name? Who wants a screenshot, dear Brooke? What's a good name, dear Brooke? Hey, dear Abby. Here is yours. Hello, dear Aisha. Here is a good name. How are you? Hi, dear Mohsina. Here is yours. Welcome. Hi, dear Irina. Here is your good name. How are you? Hi, dear Desi. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ellie. Okay. Ellie wants a screenshot. Hey, dear Ellie. Here is yours. Okay. Hi. Hi, Mystery. Welcome back. How are you? Hi, Fajr. Rosie. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Ellie, your name is done at 8 minutes, dear. If you want a screenshot and in case you can't take it now, you can watch my live later too, dear. Hi, Rosie. Here is yours. Thank you so much. You're most welcome, dear. Hi, dear Lara. Here is a good name. Anisha. Hi, Anisha. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Fajr. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Amreen. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Abhinaya. Here is a good name. How are you? Hi, dear Alte. Here is yours. Welcome. Hello, dear Naman. What is your name? Oh, oh my God. Let me check the spelling. Oh, Manon. Okay. What a unique name you have. Here is yours. Being your name was done, bro. Hi, dear Zara. Here is yours. Hi, dear Coco. Here is a beautiful name. You're most welcome. Thank you. Hello. Oh, mystery. Welcome back. How are you? Here is yours. Hi, dear Navia. Here is your beautiful name. Welcome. Hi, dear Aman. Here is yours. Hi, dear Arsha Buddy. Oh, beautiful name is yours. How are you? Here is your good name. Welcome, dear. Hi, dear Sham. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Syria. Here is a good name. Welcome. Hi, dear Crystal. Here is yours. Welcome. Hi, dear Hamna. Here is a beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Muskan. Here is yours. Welcome. Hello, dear Mustafa. Here is a beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Arfa. Here is your good name. Welcome. Thank you. You're most welcome, dear. Hi, Arif. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Tanvi. Here is yours. Welcome. Hello, dear Dua. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Umar. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ali. Here is yours. Hi, dear Aman. Here is a beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Sri Jahal. Here is yours. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Hi, dear Burikat. Here is yours. How are you? You have such a unique name. Hello, dear Banas. Here is yours. Hi, dear Nina. Welcome back. Thank you so much for subscribing. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Mihir. Here is yours. Hello, dear Abrar. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Lily. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Olivia. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Raja. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Alfez. Here is yours. Have a good day. Hi, dear Paulina. Here is a beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Alif Noor. Here is yours. Oh, I just love your name. You have such a beautiful name, dear Alif Noor. Here is yours. Hi, dear Azam. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Hushi. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Sinan. Here is yours. Hey, dear Bisma. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Kugavo. Kugavo. Oh wow, what a unique name you have. Here is yours. Welcome. Hi, dear Hayan. Here is a good name. How are you? Hi, dear Jamal. Here is yours. Hi, dear Destiny. It is a good name. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Hi, dear Ruby. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Sila. Here is yours. Hi, dear Shiveri. Here is a beautiful name. Have a good day. Here is yours. You're most welcome. Hi, dear Fabiha. Here is yours. Hello, dear Duke. Here is yours. Hi, dear. Let's see who is next. Gracie. Hi, dear Gracie. Here is a beautiful name. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens, and there is a subscribe button waiting for your finger press. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Divya. Here is yours. Hi, dear Udeshan. Here is a good name. How are you? Hello, dear Hassan. Here is yours. How are you? Welcome. Hi, dear Aiden. Here is yours, Aiden and Align. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Bilal. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Z. Here is yours. Hello, dear Maria. Here is a good name. Yasir. Hi, dear Aisha. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Leah. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Vamek. Here is yours. You have such a unique name, Vamek. Hi, dear Sada. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Nik Nikian Yazi. Oh wow. Nikian Yazi. What a beautiful name you have. Yan Yaz. Oh, I don't know how to spell this. Let me rewrite for you. Nikan Yazi, I think. Okay. Here is yours. I'm doing good. How about you? Hi, you're most welcome. Hi, dear Piyush. Here is yours. Welcome. Hi, dear Hafsa. Here is yours. Hi, welcome. Hi, dear Nilo. Here is a beautiful name. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Amy. Here is yours. Hi, dear Fatima. Here is a beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Anissa. Here is yours. Welcome, Anissa. Thank you for subscribing. Hello, dear Ahil. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sarah. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Yara. Here is yours. Have a good day to all of you. Hello, dear Maitri. Here is your good name. How are you? Hi, dear Gabby. Here is yours. Welcome. Hello, dear Shiza. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi. Hi, dear Anabia. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Jaigavi. Here is your good name. How are you? You're most welcome, dear. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Luki. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Zoya. Here is yours. Hello, dear. My name is Junior. Hi, Junior. Welcome. Here is yours. Guys, let's see who's gonna be the 50 liker. Hi, dear Viona. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Dia. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Abira and Hayan. Here is yours. How are you? Hayan. Hayan is a unique name. Hi, Sankat. Welcome. How are you? Here is yours. Welcome. Hi, dear Utkarsh. Here is a good name. How are you? Hi, dear Gul. Here is yours. Hello, Nina. Hi, dear Nina. Here is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Lala. Here is yours. Hi, dear Irosi. Here is a beautiful name. Irosi. Oh, let me rewrite for you. Irosi. Here is yours. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Kiki. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear. Don't know how to pronounce this, but yeah, here is your name. Here is a good name. Hello, dear Zainab. Merhaba. Niselsen. Hi, dear Romy. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Huran. It is a beautiful name. Welcome. Hi, dear Meepel. Here is yours. Let's see who is next, guys. Geetika. Hi, Geetika. Just give me 1 minute to drink water. Hi, dear Geetika. How are you? Geetika. Here is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Adelisa. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Isaac. Here is yours. Hi, dear Gurman. Gurman, don't be angry. Here is yours. It is a beautiful name. You are so cute. Hi, dear Anu. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Robin. Here is yours. You're most welcome, dear. Thank you, dear Maple. You have such a beautiful name. Hi, Kavya. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Raman. Here is yours. Hello, dear Lydia. Here is your good name. How are you? Hi, dear Shelmet. Here is yours. Today we have such a unique names. Unique and beautiful. Shelmet. Here is yours. Hi, dear Danielle. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Almina. Here is yours. Hi, dear Vishal. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Anu. We have another Anu. Hi, how are you? Hey, dear Manny. Here is your beautiful name. Welcome, dear. Don't stop. Double tapping. Okay, let's see who is next, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and chat filter. Okay, okay. Hi, dear Umar. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Luna. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Barrow. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear. Oh, no. Thank you so much. What's a good name? Hi, dear Shravani. Here is your beautiful name. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Lisa. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. It is a good name. Hello, dear Amber. Here is yours. Hi, dear Nivanur. Nivanur. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear. Thank you so much, Subkaji. Pahan. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Bro, do me. My name is Maria. Hey, dear Maria. Dear girly, here is a good name. Oh, you are the cutest, dear Usha. Glad to have you here. Hi, dear Varsha. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Julie. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Jyoti. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Shivam. Here is a good name. Hope you guys are enjoy the stream. So please don't forget to double tapping. Hi, dear Pamela. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear. What is your name? Anika. Here is your good name. How are you? Hi, dear Namal. Here is yours. How are you? Let's see, guys, who is next. Hi, dear Kenan. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Dua. Here is a beautiful name. Hi, dear Zahira. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Ellie. Here is yours. Oh, Elsie. Oh, one mistake. Let me correct. Hi, Elsie. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Minnie. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Vania. Here is a good name. How are you? Radha. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Lian. Here is yours. Stream is lagging. Oh no. Thank God. Hi, Lily. How are you? Here is your beautiful name. Basil. Here is yours. Hi, dear Honey. Here is your beautiful name. Let's see who's next, guys. Hi, dear. No, it's fine. Thank you so much for telling. Oh, another Mabel we have. Hi. Here is yours. How are you? Welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Let's see who's next. What is your beautiful name? I think stream is lagging. What is your good name, dear? Yes, it's it. What's a good name? Have to tell now. Olya. Hi, Olya. Welcome. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Ishani. Here is a good name. Welcome, Yashi. Okay. Hi, dear Yashi. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Uzair. Hi, Uzair. Welcome. Uzair Khan. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Babu. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Sophia. Here is yours. Welcome. Hi, dear Anushka. Here is your beautiful name. Anushka. How are you? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Uh, subscribe. Hi, dear Sunny. I'm good. How about you? Thank you so much for asking. Have a good day, Sunny. Hi, dear Sunny. Here is yours. Hi, dear Zamran. Welcome back. Here is a good name. How are you? Hello, dear Sebastian. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Amna. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Arya. Here is your beautiful name. Okay, Sir Ganesh. Hi, what's your good name? Hi, Aiden. Welcome. How are you? Vabu. Okay, Vabu. Without H. Here is yours. Hello, dear Hannah. Here is a good name. अच्छा अच्छा एक मिनट. Who wants a screenshot? Zamran? No, Zamran. Okay, Zamran. After this. Hi. Welcome. Okay, let's try Zamran because he needs a screenshot. Okay, Zamran, here is yours. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. आप इतने मीठे बात कहाँ से सीखे? कहीं से भी नहीं. Hi, Sunny bhai, welcome back. How are you? Subhaji, mention me. Hi, Kyle, welcome. Just a minute, guys. कहाँ से क्या? बस आपको ये क्यों क्यों इतनी क्यूरियोसिटी हो रही है आपको सुनी भाई? Okay, let's see who is next. Hi, welcome. Hello, dear Riza. हाँ जी, आपने? Here is your beautiful name. Welcome. Thank you so much. You're most welcome, dear. No need to thanks. Hi, Farhan. Here is yours. Hi, dear Anai. Here is your good name. Yeah, asking about dinner or asking about lunch? Lunch was done and dinner is not ready yet. Hi Mike, here is yours. How are you? Hello dear Sanjay ji. Here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Azhara. Here is your beautiful name. What a beautiful name you have, Azhara. Guys, double tap on your screen. Let's see who's gonna be the 6-7 liker. Hi Saima. Welcome. How are you? Here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Kyla. Here is your beautiful name. Welcome. Hi, नवीन को परेशान करूँगा तो Hi dear Sarah. Here is your सिर्फ को कर लो. Hey dear Asma. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi dear Opang. Here is yours. What a unique name you have. Hello dear Varisha. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi dear Avantika. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi dear Zizi. Here is yours. Hello dear. उससे बीच में क्यों लाती हो और लड़की जाने वाली अभी वही है ना इसलिए Hi Huzefa. Welcome. Here is a beautiful name. Hi dear Jack. Here is yours. Hi dear Himanshu. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Double tap on your screens. Hi Maddie. How are you? Hi dear Maddie. Here is a good name. How are you? Kimaya. Hi dear Kimaya. Welcome. Lots of love dear. Thank you so much for your beautiful words. Hi Talha. How are you? Hi dear Selva. Here is your beautiful name. Hi dear Aisha. Here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Rohan. Here is yours. Welcome dear. Hi dear Katerina. Katerina. Here is your beautiful name. पता नहीं जब जी मुझे तो नहीं आपने कुछ कहा ना मैंने नहीं पढ़ा काफी बड़ा था Hello dear Bilal or Bilat Bilal I think Bilat okay Bilat here is yours you have such a unique name I've never heard your name before Hi dear Jack here is yours Hi dear Fard here is a good name how are you मुझे कहा था क्या Hi dear Zoha here is yours 1 minute just give me 1 second let me read this now I am taking a screenshot Hi Kavya, welcome. How are you? Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens and just give me 1 minute. Hey Kanan, how are you? Let me find out. Where is your message gone? Welcome, welcome everyone. बस एक ये वाला मिला है मुझे ये 40 डिग्री वाला आप हर दफ़ा मेरा नाम लिखने के बाद दादाजी का नाम लिखेंगे अच्छा आज मैंने आपके कहे बगैर ही लिख दिया था ओके Let's write Kavya. Hi dear Kavya, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Rose, here is yours. Hi dear ले मैंने आपका कमेंट मिस कर दिया है संजय जी क्या लिखा था आपने Here is yours. Hi dear Jacob, here is a good name. How are you? Hello dear Hansi, here is yours. Welcome. Hello dear Kirenza, here is a good name. How are you? Hi dear Drishti. Here is a good name. Sanjay, I just missed your comment. Can you please read it once? Hi, dear Nehan. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Fatima. Here is here is yours. और नहीं लिख रहा फिर से आप ना मेंशन करके बोलो फिर मिलेगा 1 मिनट ये वाली आईडी को मेंशन करके बोलना ये जो अभी इशू वाली आईडी है ठीक है फिर समझ में आता है कि आपने क्या मैसेज लिखा है अदरवाइज आई कांट फाइंड आउट व्हाट योर वर्ड से समझना वाला ये मुझे समझ में आया बस दूसरे वाला या तो आया नहीं है मुझे अपना अच्छा 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 मैंने पढ़ लिया नहीं नहीं एकदम अच्छा सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर है उनका हाय डियर कॉर्नी हियर इज अ गुड नेम हाउ आर यू हाय Lisa, here is your how are you extremely है ना ये मैंने पढ़ लिया था सिर्फ इसका मैंने वो ले लिया स्क्रीनशॉट मैं बाद में पढ़ूंगी अगर मैं करूँगा एक ही होती है कि दो दो हैं हाय अविनाश वेलकम हियर इज अ गुड नेम ओके किया था अच्छा ओके 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 ठीक है it's lagging yeah I don't know why dear Rosa hi here is your beautiful name how are you hi dear Jade here is yours hi you're from Uzbekistan oh lots of love dear hi dear Persia here is your beautiful hi dear Emil here is yours welcome वेट करते हैं जस्ट वेट is it better is it better now guys Raja is already done Shravada hi here is yours how are you no I think now it's good I think Nisha hi Nisha welcome how are you please कर लो वेट देखना कहीं वेटर ना बन जाओ कोई बात नहीं वेटर भी बन जाएंगे हम हाय रेहान here is your beautiful name now it's fine thank you so much for telling Jack Jonas hi Jack and Jonas here is yours how are you hi dear Fateh here is your beautiful name how are you hi dear Neha here is yours welcome hello dear 4 नंबर टेबल में पहुंचा मारना ठीक है हाय डियर हादी here is yours बाल्टी आप लेके आओगे ठीक है ना हाय डियर Elena here is your beautiful name how are you hi dear Alicia here is your beautiful name hello dear Hassan here is yours how are you कहाँ पे hey dear Zami here is a good name hi dear Minhaj here is yours how are you hello dear Danish here is your beautiful name सबको ही दे दूँ चीनी भाई इतने ज़्यादा लोगों को ऑलरेडी दिया Hi dear Varshini, here is your beautiful name. फिर एक promise करो आप नागिन नहीं बोलोगे फिर दूंगी ठीक है ना? Here is yours. Hi dear Anisha, I am good. How about you dear? Here is your beautiful name. He's young. That's right. He's young for you. How are you? Hi Faria. Hi Ayan. Aisha. Welcome. Novice. Novi, what's your good name? Is your name Sudha? I can't understand this language, dear. Hi, Hafsa. Hi, welcome back. Let's write your name, dear Aisha. Here is yours. नहीं आपके comment highlight होंगे और ऐसी language use नहीं करोगे आप फिर. Here is yours. Hi. Hey, dear Novi. What's your good name? Aima. Hi, Aima. Here is yours. Hello, dear Anna. Here is a good name. How are you? Hi, dear Elanud. Here is a good name. Now says he is looking age. What do you mean by this? Hi, dear Asma. Here is a good name. Hi, dear Reba. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Adan. Here is yours. Hello, dear Nasreen. Here is yours. How are you? Let me. क्या किसी को ये लैंग्वेज आती है? क्या कह रहे हैं नोवी? मुझे लगता है इनका नाम उदा है. Dear Novi, I can't understand this language, but can you please just comment your name so I can understand that this is your name? Hello, dear. Otherwise, I can write this for you because I don't know what's your good name. Hey, Walaikum Salam, Mahi, welcome back. How are you? 16 age होता है क्या? 16 age क्या मतलब है इसका? I literally don't know what are you saying. Hey, dear handsome. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Mars. Here is yours. Hello, dear Faisal. Here is your good name. Welcome. Let's write Mahi Khan. I am good, dear Mahi. How about you? Here is your beautiful name. Rook and do a flower. Rook. I'm not that good at drawing, but let's try for you, dear Brooke. Or don't judge my drawing skills because I don't have any. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hi, he's teenage boy. That's I said. No, he is not a teenager. I think he is maybe 20 plus. Chini bhai, what's your good? What's your age? Hi, Mason. Welcome. Hi, Koster. Mason. Hi, Mason. How are you? Here is yours. Hi, dear Koster. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Adil. गोभी का फूल. आपको तो पता ही नहीं है किसी गोभी के फूल के बारे में है ना? मासी जी क्या हुआ है? इसी नेम्स इसमें होते हैं, लाइक्स होते ही नहीं. पता नहीं क्यों नहीं करते हैं लाइक्स. हम देखो वहीं पे ही अटके पड़े हैं. हालांकि अभी तक 100 हो जाना चाहिए. नाम तो मैंने 300 के करीब लिख लिया है मुझे लगता है. Hi dear Amina, here is your beautiful name. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Hi dear Zara, here is yours. नाम बताओगे तो लिखूंगी ना, क्या नाम है आपका? अवंतिमा, हाय अवंतिमा, वेलकम। हियर इज योर्स। आपका नाम फौजिया था, फैजान था, क्या नाम था? मैंने लिखा था, भूल गया है मुझे। हियर इज योर्स। हाय डियर डीनियो, हियर इज योर्स। ठीक है, जाओ, बाय बाय। लैंग्वेज ठीक रखो, लैंग्वेज पे ध्यान दो, लैंग्वेज। मोक्षिता, हाय मोक्षिता, वेलकम। मुझे कुछ करना पड़ेगा, रुको बताती हूँ, ठहरो जरा, इम्पोर्टेंट काम है बहुत ज़्यादा। सिर्फ लगता है सर को समझाया है आपने, बस उसको ही समझाया, बाकियों को मैं इतना नहीं देती हूँ। हाय जैफ, वेलकम। हियर इज योर्स। हाय डियर। वन नेम ईच पर्सन प्लीज, एक एक नाम लिखवाया करो भाई प्लीज। अनाही, हाय अनाही, वेलकम। हियर इज योर्स। कम से कम जब तक गर्मी है तब तक तो प्लीज एक नाम लिखवाया करो। गोजल, हाय गोजल, वेलकम। हाय डियर सैमी, हियर इज योर ब्यूटीफुल नेम। नो इट्स ओके। Hi dear Fahar, here is yours. Hi dear Ali, here is a good name. आपने भी समझना है, नहीं नहीं, आप ठीक हो। कानिया, हाय कानिया, वेलकम। हियर इज योर्स। हाय डियर, है ना? बस यही है। ओलिविया, हाय ओलिविया, हियर इज a good name. Hello dear Justin, here is yours. Hi dear Rumi, here is a beautiful name. Hello dear Kiran, here is yours. सिर्फ मेकअप के टाइम हम दोनों कम ही मीट्स के लाइव में नहीं, मैंने तो नहीं समझाया क्या लाइव में आने का, इस बारे में कोई बात नहीं हुई, दोबारा बात ही नहीं हुई मेरी। सही बता रही हूँ। लेट्स राइट। मैं ठीक हूँ, लेकिन आप क्या करेंगे? आपके पास पहले ही बहुत, आपने क्या करना है लेके, ज्ञान बहुत आपके पास चीनी भाई। Tawayum, here is yours. Guys, double tap on your screens. अरे जिग्गा जी, दूसरी आईडी से आए हो। Hi Ronika, here is yours. Welcome. How are you? Hi dear Alia, here is your beautiful name. Welcome. Hi dear Yasin, here is yours. Welcome. Hello dear Palak, here is yours. क्या हुआ? तो फिर क्यों नहीं आता है? वो आता है तो पता नहीं, मुझे क्या पता हो। Hi dear Isa, here is your beautiful name. Hello dear Talha, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Nitik, here is yours. Welcome. ये खतीजा को देखो, कह रही थी मैं आती हूँ, मैं अटेंडेंस लगाने आती हूँ। इशू आप ही, मैं आपकी आईडी पर बार बार लाइक कर रही हूँ, मैंने सब्सक्राइब भी किया है आपको। थैंक यू सो मच डियर, लॉट्स ऑफ लव। ओके ओके, हाँ मुझे नहीं पता सच में। हाय डियर हीरा, हियर इज योर्स। हाय डियर हफ्सा, हियर इज योर ब्यूटीफुल नेम। हाउ आर यू?